Hi guys, Tiffany here. I know it's late and mostly everybody is probably sleeping, but I'm pretty much kind of just making a video to document putting together a scrappy binding for the quilt that I made in previous videos, which is the disappearing 4-patch. So before I put it away, I kind of want to get it done so that I can put it into the quilt and fold it and put it on the shelf. So don't mind me, I'm in my nightgown. I really don't care. I have nothing else better to do at night when I can't sleep, and laying down doesn't help any. So for those of you that are going to say, hey, just lay down and try, it doesn't work for me like that. So I'm going to get a screen going here so I can read, see comments if anyone does come on. I was messing with the computer again, so I was trying things, but it wasn't working for me. So, yeah, I don't know. Wow, this computer takes forever still for this. So, while we're sitting here, it's Tuesday night, it's late. For newcomers watching this later, hello and thank you for watching, and like and subscribe for more future videos, and or whatever, so you can see all my previous videos of all the things. Oh man, where did he go? That screen isn't working for me, so I'm just going to go to what I know best, even though it's dead, and I'll get it back onto the charger as soon as it's started. Okay. So how is everybody doing? I'm sorry again that it's late, and I'm okay today. I didn't get much of any sleep, but alright, that's on. So the computer doesn't help at all when it comes to anything, unfortunately, which is kind of dumb. Alright, so yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do this and get it together and explain what I did and what I'm doing. If I can get this to stay right here. There we go. In or out, because there's always cops, Maxine.
No, from Grace's house.
Okay.
And we went up the street. I just wanted to tell you.
Okay, good night. Okay. So as everyone knows, my kids come in at whenever time they want to, so I'm going to adjust that slightly. It all the way this way for the camera. So what I went and did was I had 20 strips, that's 2 of each color, 20 strips of the leftovers from the fat quarters from making that disappearing 4-patch. So I went and separated, I cut them down into 6.5-inch strips, okay, and then I separated them into 6 piles, all in the same order for this binding. And yeah, scrappy could be either scrappy and or pieced binding. Mine just so happens to be a scrappy binding, but the colors are going to stay in a specific color order, just so that I can have some kind of balance, like the quilt top itself. When I finally put it to quilt it and put the binding on, it'll have some kind of balance. Then I went ahead and cut some 2.5 inch strip, 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch squares of the black, because black is my pop color. And then what was left from making the border, I cut the last of it into, and some of the rest of that other strip, because I needed enough of my other pop color, which is the green. So I went ahead and did all that, and now I have 6 piles on these. And what I am going to do is I am going to place one of these colors with a black, a green, and a black. So first I'm going to just go ahead and chain piece all of these through, all 6 piles, with a black on the end. Then I'm going to snip them, chain piece them all through with a green, snip them, and chain piece them all through with a black again, snip them, and then start putting them together. But I'm going to attempt to keep them in these orders so that when I snip them, they'll already be in the order that I want them to be in. So I'm just going to go ahead and start sewing. And then right sides together. And I'm sewing a 1/4 inch straight seam. I know for binding a lot of people do a diagonal 45-degree line. I am doing a straight seam, and I'm going to press the seam open because it will hold, it'll keep the bulk down. But I'm not going to go turn the iron on or anything yet, because I'm just going to wait until I have everything in order first, and then I will press all the seams open. So I'm just going to get started sewing. And I'm going to attempt to stop myself. I'm not going to stop quilting, or not stop making things, but I am going to try to stop myself on the video feed purposely in like an hour, so that I don't have too long of a video of just people watching me sew on the replay, since I know nobody's really on tonight. And that's me assuming that nobody's on, because I can't tell if someone's on, since my cell phone is what's doing the thing. Oh, here we go. This screen finally opened. I don't know how to turn the volume down on it though, which I'll have to figure that one out. That fan is just gonna blow pieces. So, okay. So I'm just gonna continue chain piecing all these through and let the fan blow what it's gotta blow. Oh. And this is cut, these are cut at 2.5 inches. My normal binding, if it wasn't pieced, is actually, I do 2.25 inch binding usually. So this is 2.5 inch binding. But normally it's 2.25, and that's what works for me the best when I bind a quilt. I'm going to figure out how to oh, this is not I don't know. I don't know how to use a computer. I might just turn it off in a second, because I have no idea what I'm doing. I was trying to find the volume. Oh, it says I have somebody watching. Who's watching? And also, when you're making binding and anything, even just piecing blocks, it's always best, like I always say, keep your project in front of you. So I'm keeping my little pieces up here and everything else right where I can find and grab it nice and easily, and not get anything knocked out of place. I don't even think I made enough pieces. I kind of just cut some black up and cut the rest of that green up. I know I need 40 of the black ones because there's 20 pieces cut. No, I need more than 40. Never mind, I'm wrong. There's 20 pieces per every 6 inch, yeah. So there's 20 every 2, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just sewing. I don't do the math. Remember? I don't do math. So, this is what I'm doing. I did prep some material for an in-between quilt, just so that people know when they're watching this later. I prepped some fabric, got it all pressed and ready to trim down for an in-between this and the Bargello project, just so that I can have videos of things in between everything. I can't just, you know, wait forever, so obviously I have to put some kind of content on here, huh? That's why I chose to just go ahead and record this process, or I would have made it last night. And today is my husband's birthday. We didn't do anything. We just stayed home all day. So, Scott, if you watch this later, happy birthday again. But I know you're asleep on the couch, so. But I'm sure you'll see the video. So I'm just chain piecing these all through. Kind of just a big jumbled mess because the fan likes to blow things around. So keeping them in order is going to be the fun part. As long as I pull from the same thing. Pull it in the order that I'm grabbing from. And it shouldn't get too messed up, hopefully. I don't like the fact that you can hear my video in the background, so I think I'm just gonna turn it off. Still says I have somebody watching before I clicked the sound away. If you're watching, don't be afraid to chat. You can chat with me. Gives me something to do and you something to do while watching. Unless you've gone since I've cleared the screen. So this is me in real life, raw, in my pajamas, messy hair, 'cause I don't care. Doing what I do. When I finally go back out to the garage, I'm 90% in the road most of the time because it's cold out there in the winter time. So you will mainly see me in my, it's not a bathrobe, it's more like a all-purpose robe. It's just a big heavy-duty robe that I kind of use as a jacket. do something today. I went in the pool. That's what I did do today. And I ate food. And watched kids. So I did do something today. And then pressed the fabric that I'm going to do for a quilt. It's a quick and easy quilt is pretty much what it is that I'm going to be doing in between these projects. So it'll be quite simple to just learn basic from, because it's going to be a basic quilt. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is because I'm not doing it yet. It's just ready to be done. But it's beginner friendly, super beginner friendly, like most of the things I do. This is probably going to be a super boring video, and I'm so sorry. I just need to have more videos, and I could have regular recorded the process, but then I would spend 2 hours making it and 6 hours editing it. Because I'm not used to that yet. Maybe not 6 hours editing, but at the very least 3 hours of editing a 2-hour video. Because this doesn't really have no measurements yet, because my final measurements of the disappearing 4-patch are, I wrote them down and I can't find them. Pretty sure I remember it in my head as like 90 something by 101 or 102. And looks like I need to cut a few more of the black. Cut 12 pieces off of here. It's just the leftover from yesterday. I'm not even cutting, I'm cutting out the seams at least, but I'm not doing anything else. Just lining them up nicely. Trimming the end nice and straight. And doing 2.5-inch squares. And there we go. This one can be taken out. That one was a seam. And bring them back up to me. Toss that to the side because I'm going to use that. Again, I cut these at 6.5-inch strips, and I got 3 because there was like 21 inches left. Actually, like 20.5 to 21.5 inches left on the 2.5-inch strips because they're 22 inches long. And then get rid of the selvage because it was from fat quarters originally. And then I was able to get, I just took that number and divided it by 3. I just took 20 and divided it by, or 21 and divided by 3 and got 7 or something like that. Or 6.5. I rounded it off to the nearest number on the calculator. So if you ever have that many or you want to do bigger strips, just round it off on the calculator. You use that amount of inches, or not the amount of inches that you have, and say you want to make 4 strips on it, you take that inch number and divide it by 4, and that gives you a number that you can cut in inches. And then I rounded it off to the closest number because it came out bigger than what I wanted them to be. So I cut them 6.5 inches, and I got 3 from every strip. Let's use a not folded piece. And then I'm going to have to cut more because I need one for each side. But I'm going to cut those from my full strips that I made. These little squares I was just cutting to use some of that up. Alright. Tells me right now that I'm not going to have enough of this green. So what I'm doing is I'm snipping them apart. It'd probably be nice if I had one of those thingamabobbers, but the snippers work. There's a little thingy that you can, a little convenient thing that you can snip, or you can do it like this. And just separate them on the machine. I have had a machine that did not have a built-in thread cutter. So, but this works. And it's keeping them in order still, which is good. I might just have to leave those out and just do one strip of black, or one square of black in between, because I don't have any more of this. I'm out. Like, completely. So I think I'm just going to hook them all together with the one square of black. See how my mind changes? That's what happens when you quilt for a long time and make things. You can change your mind during the process, so that's exactly what I'm going to do, though, because this is, I know for a fact now that this is not enough. I just cut up what was left and hoped that it was enough. I'm just going to snip the rest of these, keeping them from the fan blowing them out of order. Alright, I guess this will make it a lot faster not using these. Plus that last border is that color, so this works. So these seams are going to get pressed open. so that they lay flat. And what I do is I open the seam and then I use my finger to just kind of make it lay nice and flat. I'm going to grab that next one, hook it to it. Now I'm going to open it, use my finger. Once it's open, it should lay nice and flat. I'm going to press this one open. That way when I get to the iron, it's probably going to be a lot easier. Not probably, it will be a lot easier to just press it. So again, I'm pulling one part. The pressing open means pressing one part of the seam one way, the other part to their same color. You're pushing that seam to its same. It's best if you have a tighter stitch length as well. That's a tip when you're making this. Because when you go to press that seam open so that you have a flatter seam when actually binding it to the quilt, once it's pressed in half and it becomes binding, it's going to be, having it like that will make it nice and flat, obviously, but secondarily, the tighter the seam, it'll keep it from stretching at all and being able to see those stitches while you're sewing the binding on. So if there's any pulling or tugging, those stitches will be hidden. I'm going to make this long enough and then I can do a pull back. So for what I do is I just fill from the top and bottom. It really open, when you're pressing open, it's easier than pressing to one side. Like you can literally just press with your fingers, like just push down and it works. And or you can just lay it on the table and use your finger and finger press it with the finger. So now I'm just going to kind of just start hooking them together because the finger pressing can come later. I was just showing you how to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this around and add the next one to it. I'm going to be adding it kind of sitting sideways because the whole thing's sitting sideways. And then I'm just going to straighten it out because I know that my cuts are straight. And now I'm just going to run all these through. So I'm laying them right sides together and just laying them on in the side, from the side like this. So I know they're straight on the where they're supposed to be, and then turning it, running it through. Grabbing that other end, turning it to where I can see the whole thing, attaching, just laying it there, twisting it a little bit more, and adding it. So this is chain piecing of the whole thing now. And once I have the rows all made into these 6 sections, because I'm keeping 6 colors together, so you'll see what I'm saying in a second. Those 6 piles that I had, I'm keeping from that start to that finish together. Reason for that is because I'm going to spread it out through the quilt. So as it's wrapping around the quilt, the position of the binding will sit in different areas. So here would be one section, and then I'm going to put a large section of the black in between this section and another section. So there'll be 6 total sections, and they will fall in different places around the quilt, which makes that for a super scrappy. So what I'm doing is just going through, I'm holding the fabric apart with my hands, pulling it apart, and then separating the seam and giving it a quick finger press from the wrong side of the fabric, which is fine. It's easier to separate the seam when you're on this side of the fabric as well. So with any, even when you're piecing blocks, it's easier to separate the seam from the wrong side of the fabric than it is the right side. And then it's less having to flip back and forth to get it right. The rest of the seams I'm not going to do. I'm just going to start sewing. I just wanted to show that I'm going this one row so that my scrappy binding is spread out through the quilt. So here's one so far. So from this one to the next end, this one, now it's going to get a big long black piece, and then it will spread out. Okay, so I'm just going to make 6 of these real quick. Fold it down, grab another one, and I'm remembering that my print fabric goes to the black. You don't put the black to the black. And I just roll it over to where I could see the right side of it. It'd be the same if you are doing regular binding at an angle, but I'm not sewing at an angle. Making sure that it's lined up just by aligning it to the black fabric, because like I said, all my cuts were straight, so it makes it a lot easier. And I know when to stop when I get to a specific block, which would, oops, don't know why I just did that, which would be the orange. Sometimes I hit my heel on that accidentally. It helps my nerves because of the MS if I don't keep my foot on the, where if I hold my foot on the pedal, it's a lot easier than picking my leg up, moving my foot, and putting my foot back down. It's way easier. So here's another one. I'm just going to snip these apart. And there's another row. And I'm just going to do the seams later. I'm starting with a sewing to the black first instead of sewing black to this. It's going to be the same distance either way when I fold it back. So this will be pretty fun binding. Once it's on the quilt, it's going to look amazing. I just need to choose a back for it. There's another one. I'm just going to keep going until my pile is empty. Okay, I'm just going to keep chain piecing by not adding to that. And let's just start with this one so it keeps them separate. That way I can finish a little bit faster. Everyone wonders how fast I do things. Well, it's because I chain piece. And I don't really care about the little things when it comes to perfection. I override that in my mind with more of complete. Complete it. Whether it's perfect or not, complete it. That's definitely what my brain sees, is completion over perfection. Now, I did spend quite some time on my diamond quilt, Woman's Best Friend is what I named it. I did spend a lot of time on that one, making sure that I had as accurate as possible seams, because that's my quilt show quilt. Other than that, okay. And that one has pre-made binding in a pile too, as well, sitting. It's folded into the quilt top on its pile. There's quite a few quilts, actually, the tops that are in my piles out there that have pre-made binding. I kind of like to pre-make it that way. The only thing I have left to do is quilt, you know, and attach binding instead of make and attach binding. It's already done in the process of the making of the quilt top. And it's easier to choose a binding, I think, when you match it with the front of your quilt. I think it looks good. And the back, you always choose the back to match the front anyway, most of the time. So this matches the front, and whatever back I choose is going to match as well. Theme-wise, at least. It'll be something of one of these colors or leaves, or colors with the leaves or flowers of some sort that matches. I'm also kind of hoping to quilt this one in a color that, like, either black or white or a gray. That way it's a light color and blends with every color that's in here, so that way I don't have to switch out thread a lot. But then I was also thinking of variegated thread, because I have a lot of really colorful variegated thread. So when I do quilt this quilt top, a variegated thread would definitely highlight a lot of its aspects. Since there's no comments, I am assuming that nobody is watching, which is highly okay because it is like late. 11:29. So yeah. I'm assuming that nobody is up. Most of everybody that watches is in an East Coast state and California, and there's some middle states. But I'm pretty sure you all are all in bed because you're not insomniac like me. Or I'm just too boring tonight, but that's okay too, because I don't care. I'm doing my thing. And then I'm gonna plug in the iron. Oh, excuse me. All right, now to plug in the iron. Oh, it's right here. It's right next to me. So there are 6 of these, and so this is how, when I measure, obviously I go by however many inches. So say it's 90 in, or say the quilt is 100 inches by 100 inches by 100 inches by 100 inches. I just say I need 400 inches plus 10 inches or plus 20 inches for the mitered corners, and I'll make 400 inches of fabric. So that determines how many cuts you need if fabric is 40 inches wide, or 40 inches, yeah, long. You know what I mean, off the bolt. I'm just going to throw 1 strip in between every one of these, and then add to the ends of the whole entire thing to make the, I'm thinking I need 360 inches, somewhere in that range. So, all right. So the fan does not help me with this process whatsoever. So I'm going to separate the seam. I'm going to do the same thing by pushing it down first, and then I have one. My iron is a shark, so it has this. It has the tip right here, which helps me get to this. It helps me with seams so much easier because of the tip. And due to, even though it's hot, I'm tired of that fan constantly making this difficult for me. So I'm just going to do this more easier, because when the fan is off, it's easier to work. All I have to do is turn it upside down and go along the whole thing. And then I'll flip it over and do the other ones. The other side. Making sure it's nice and flat, and that I didn't get no folds or pleats on the front, or puckers, or anything that happens on the front side. So I just stick my finger in it to separate it, and I use that tip of the iron to push it back. It's not that hard. Finger pressing it is actually probably harder than this part. It's spreading the seam open is the thing. And you need to have that open when you're doing binding with a straight seam instead of a 45-degree angle. Normally I would be doing this at the other ironing board, the big one. But I'm trying to do it all on camera to catch the process, if you know what I mean. Some of these become really hard to separate, especially if that crisp material from it being starched, it's super crisp still. And I try to keep it flat and level as well, because I don't want to distort the strip that I'm making either. And once I do that, I flip it around, go from the top down the whole entire thing. Making sure they're staying flat, which they are. Yep, they're staying open, even though they're yanking on my ironing board. That one didn't. That one didn't either. So I just take my finger and go underneath, holding it where I wanted it to go. There we go. It doesn't help pulling things around, but it was staying nice. Till I said something. Alright, so that row is done. I am just going to pull this whole thing up here. Move the done one to over here because I have to cut some strips anyway. I didn't cut any strips yet. I cut a couple for the black inserts, but that's it. Okay, that takes longer that way. Guess it was faster just to sit here and do it. Plus standing kind of hurts me. But I do want these all nice and flat, so I can't skip this step. And I don't like not having my fan on either, but momentarily while I do this, because the iron is technically heating me right back up again. The iron is taking away what the fan was trying to make better. It just doesn't help in the position that it has to blow in on me. And the board is still hot, so maybe I can just open them real quick and then press them while the board is hot. So open them, lay it down. That one needed a little bit of squeak. You could also use, if you have a stiletto, to open the seam, or a pair of scissors would work, just to lay it on there to get it opened enough for the iron to go over it, or your finger to move it, or if you have fingernails, long ones, that would work too. Flip it around, make sure those are lying flat. Start picking it up so that it doesn't run against it. Oh, it is flat. And if anything, if they get turned at all, you can just repress them when you do the folding in half part. can't do that there. This is taking longer than I like because of the so many seams. Usually it's just the amount of seams from a strip. This is a lot of seams. And I still have to add a few more to get the black on the end of every single one of these. Oh, somebody's... Hi, Michelle. Yes, I am up. I decided to just make a video of me, the process of me putting together the scrappy binding for the disappearing 4-patch. That way I could put it on the shelf, like I was telling you last night, but I didn't end up doing it last night. That way I could put it on the shelf with the binding folded into it, and that's already ready for when I finally start quilting all these quilts. I won't have to take a break. I'll just be able to quilt everything, bind everything, and be done. There'll be no breaks in between to have to make binding and find all where I put everything and so on and so forth. So I'm pre-making it. That way it's nice and ready. Right now I'm just pressing these seams open so that it lays nice and flat. Did you catch the beginning of the video? What do you need to do? Make binding when you do the piecing and then put it away with it? Yep, if that's what you're talking about, because that's what I'm talking about. It's so much easier to just have it ready. And or I have a big roll, like, I had already pre-made a ton of black, white, gray, just typical solid colors in binding. And I have them rolled up in a thing, so whenever I need binding, especially for small quilts, there's plenty of it. Like, I don't know, you could take a whole freaking, you could take like 5 yards and just make a all binding, you know? Just make a bunch of it for as many quilts as you're going to use black on, and as many quilts as you're going to use whatever. Make like over, I don't know, that would probably be like 6,000 inches worth. That would be a lot of inches worth of binding, but you know what? It helps having it all pre-made. And it only takes the few minutes, you know, not few minutes, but like, takes the same amount of time, just it's already pre-done so that you can get to doing other things in between projects, you know? Like starting yet another quilt, like I'm going to be doing. In between the Bargello and in between that and the customer's quilt, I have a quilt that I'm going to be putting together. I'm just going over the top real quick, making sure all my seams are still open on the way. Keeping it flat, making sure there's no folds, pleats, or anything out of place. Yeah, well, that's fine. I've been on for a little while, I think. I don't know. I'm going to try to stop myself after a while. I'll probably just get the rest of this done instead of pressing the whole thing in half. But, I mean, I can. I don't know. This piece is already ready. Let me press this real quick. It's so hard with this little ironing board, you know? It's so annoying, too. There was one that wasn't pressed open. I probably could have just called you, Michelle, and we could have just chit-chat while I did this. I'm all up in my nightgown and everything tonight because I didn't care. I just want to get this done so I could put it away and start on the project that I have laying here on the table that cannot be seen because it's a hidden project for an easy quilt project, which you don't have to do. It's just an idea. It's not going to be a well, kind of tutorial style, I guess. I'll just explain as I go. It's for beginners. It's like the super beginningest quilt that you can ever do, and it's simple and fun. There we go. Now that one's done. Yes, it's very convenient, but it's the position that I have to have all this in is not convenient. Far from it, by far, far from it. I'm just gonna finger these all first. So yeah, pre-making binding is way easier. Okay, I need to sit back down again. I can't keep standing. It's not that it's tiring, it's just that I've been up all day on my feet. I didn't sleep at all last night. Probably like an hour and a half maybe at the most. Oops, I just burnt myself. Yep, so what I'm making next is just an idea, to give someone an idea to do with fabric that I can't say too much because then it gives it away. And I don't want to give it away, not even to you. It's a surprise. It's a surprise thing that I'm going to do in between. Because you know me, I can't sit still, so I have to do something in between this and putting that Bargello together. And tomorrow I'm going shopping for fabric, hopefully before the girls get here. That way I can get it done. So what are you doing, Michelle? You working on anything? This is the most awkwardest position for me. Alright, look. I got one more to lay the seams out and then I could start attaching these. I'm trying to separate them because you missed the beginning of the video, so what I'm doing is I'm making all of these and then I'm going to add a 2.5 inch strip of black in between every single one. There's 6 strips all together here. And it should, in the end, come out as long as I need it to be to go the 300 and, I think it's like 360 inches worth of quilt that I need to be able to go all the way around with. I measured it earlier, I wrote it down, and now I can't find where I wrote it down. And the baby did lose a couple of my things over here earlier, so it could be in that pile of lost stuff, which if it's lost I'm never going to find, but it's a pile of it somewhere. Going to a sew-in for the weekend. Where are you doing that at? What is a sew-in? Is it where you like just go spend a weekend at a hotel or something and all you do is sew with other people from the area or something? I've never been to one, so that's why I don't know. And when are you going? Also, secondary question. When are you going, and is it what I just said? And sorry if I'm not looking at the screen to talk to you like when we normally talk, but I'm trying to do this at the same time without burning my hand even more than I just already have a few minutes ago. Just somebody random's house or somebody in your like quilt group type thing? And and you stay up all night like a slumber party kind of thing and then go home the next day or what? I'm curious. All right, now I can get to this almost. Almost, and then I can get off of here. Are you serious, seam? Hope I didn't put the black away, dang it. Because I need to cut some more strips off of it. Do you, also about the sewing, do you bring your own sewing machine to it, or does this somebody have a lot of sewing machines at their house? And you guys all take turns sewing and ironing and whatever? And do you all do the same pattern? I'm not really curious. Because if anything, I could just do those here, set it up in my garage over the winter time. Get a bunch of quilters over and hang out with me. Maybe I wouldn't be so bored at night. Alright, I need 7. How many do I have here? I have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I need 3 more. In our quilting group, we stay all weekend until Monday. At the person's house, do they have room? How many people go to it? Wow, I'm asking a lot of questions, but I'm super curious. Maybe the viewers want to know what a sew-in is or whatever. Bring your own sewing machine, snacks, and drinks. So is it like a retreat just for a weekend, or is it considered different than a retreat? By the way, I can't see right now because I'm cutting. I'm going to cut off 3 strips real quick. Actually, I'll cut 5 strips real quick. 2.5 inch strips. Alright. I have to move that over there because there's a bunch of... I gotta chop these ends off real quick. So what I'm doing is cutting the strips to go in between now. All these things, in between every strip that I just made for the binding. And then I'm going to assume that I have enough inches. I'm just making a big, huge pile. And I'm just going to cut them all at once because they're lined up on a line. Alright, so this is what I'm going to do. Okay, so let's see. Bring your stuff. It is some stay overnight and some go home. It's about 8 p.m. on Saturday. They come most of the day. Oh, okay. But in, like, real terminology, it is a slumber party for quilters, right? That's what I'm going to consider it. So a sew-in is a slumber party for quilters at quilters' houses. I think I'm going to definitely start something like that. But I know a lot of them are going to want to go to bed. Because there's a lot of people that go to bed early. They're not all like us. And I can find some friends that are insomniacs like us. How far away do you go to these? Is it close? All right, so I'm going to go off that topic back to this. You retreat, you pay for the space, you pay for the hotel, plus you buy your own food. Oh, okay, so that's the difference. So what I'm doing is I'm taking a black, starting with my start color, and I'm going to attach it. Now, like any binding, now this is where it gets the same except for the 45-degree angle. I am going to take, because that's my start piece, I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to press it real quick, just because it's right here, and the rest I'll press after, but I'm just going to finger press this open since the iron is still on. And what I actually want now, since that was my start, that's my start piece, is to take that, bring up the other end, put my, oh, that's what I can use those greens for now. Totally just had an epiphany. Tiffany had an epiphany. Now I know what I can use the greens for. I only need 6 of them, so it's just going to have 1 in every single one. You don't have to do it this way, but I am doing it this way because I just thought about it right now. I'm going to put one of those, then a strip. This will make it fall into the quilt. Okay, then I'm going to put that right side up. Grab my next one from my start color. Yeah, from my start color, put it on. It's exactly what I'm doing now. Definitely works better this way. Then I bring that end up. I don't know where Visala is, but I know where Fresno and Bakersfield are. Because you're in Bakersfield and I know where Fresno is. Drove through there. So I'm going to pull that one off. Snip these 2 while I'm here. Open this one. Add another one of these. This is going to give me more length too. Even though they're 2.5 inches and you wouldn't think so, it'll give me more. And more separation. So let me pull this around now. Grabbing one of these. Adding it. I'm just going to start snipping these now while they're on the machine. Bring it up. Grab this little guy. Put it on here. This was definitely a better idea doing it this way. Open this little guy up. Grab a long piece. sides together, grabbing one of these. A few more to go, and then I'll be done. Snip it. Bring it up and around. How far would you go for these sew-ins besides those? How far would you go for stuff like this? For sewing related things? Would you go on one of those? I saw one of those ads for a cruise ship, quilting cruise, for quilting retreat, but on a, I think it was a 2-week cruise thing, down to Hawaii and back or something like that. But it was all quilting related. And they were supplying, they weren't giving them away, but on the cruise, so you don't have to bring your own machine, they had Berninas and all sorts of fancy schmancy stuff. And then you, in the cruise, what you pay for, part of the purchase of the cruise is to pay for the pattern and the teaching and the whatever and the fabric of the quilt tops that you make while on the cruise. It was a pretty neat thing, but it was super costly, super duper costly. 1 to 2 hour drive. That's not bad. And you stay the whole weekend. So I just need to add this one. And then what I'm going to do is in between every long black strip, put this on. Every time I get to a long black strip after this, I'm just going to add the green. So I'm going to add this green, the black strip, and then I'm going to add another green on the other end and black strip to even out both sides. And then I will be done. I'm pretty sure that'll be 300 and something inches. It's like 360, I think, somewhere around there. Okay, yeah. Do you guys help each other out when you go to these things? Or do you only work on your project and they only work on their project? I don't like not having my fan on either. It's kind of bothering me. I'm kind of getting hot with this iron sitting right here. Alright, let's pull up this other end. Add a green to it. Oh, that's good. That's a plus. I like this one with the tree right in the center. I couldn't get that one to lay flat in my fingers. There it goes. Okay. Now let's find all the junctions and press them flat. Pin and all. Oh my goodness. The only thing about binding is there's so much of it. Alright. Let's find all these junctions. Press them flat and then I can be done with the video. How's that sound? Because that all I have to do is press it in half. So that's good. It's coming. It's way down there. Alright, let's press these. See why I press them open now? Because there's so many seams right next to each other. It's just like when I do diamond binding though. Give it some steam. I'm tangling myself up in this stuff. There's so much of it. I have to count the inches out though before I fold it in half anyway, so I'm just showing how it's made. One continuous humongo jumbo long strip for binding. It's coming, and then I could show you how it looks by moving it in the whole thing. Just this one. Ugh. It's not only kills my legs standing, but it kills my back. I am definitely not a presser bending down or cutting bending down kind of person. Definitely need to have a flat, level surface. Give it a little bit of steam on all these seams. I really got twisted around, and there's a lot to go. Yes, it's going to be very awesome. It's like almost being put together like this reminds me of geometric designs, just by having it pieced like this, because it's equal, which is what geometric designs are, equal on all sides. So it's definitely like that. Oh my god, are you serious? Come on. There we go. I like this little point on my iron, because once I get it open, I don't have to worry about my fingers not getting it all the way. Almost to the other end. Just a few more seams to open up. Yes, mine's killing me. I don't know. Maybe it'll help me sleep. Because I'm wearing myself down. Or what you would call wearing yourself thin. Ugh, I set it on the cord. Alright, we're coming up to the other end now. We'll only have one more little seam to push down in between. And I can go take a potty and smoke break and turn everything off. Oop, we got a nice big wrinkle right here. Okay, the last two pieces to fold down. Press open, I should say. Because we're not pressing to one side. These have to be pressed open. If you press to one side, you will have a super bulky binding. You don't want that. Alright, I'm going to flip it and start pulling so you can see. Okay, so it starts black. Okay, move that out of my visual. Alright, so it starts with the black, then it comes to one green, then it has the one green, then the black, then all the pieces. I'm going to roll this up as I go, actually. And before I start pulling the rest of this up real quick, I'm going to just show people that are new to this. Once you have all those seams pressed, you're going to take this whole thing and you're going to fold it in half on top of itself. So wrong sides together, folding it in half. And you're going to start folding it in half, using your fingers to hold it in half, and then take your iron and go down. Use your fingers to hold it in half, make your iron go down, okay? And you press the whole entire seam. Okay, so a quick, right here on the edge, I'll show you what I'm saying. With any binding, you just come to the edge right here. I'm not sure if this is going to be my final edge, but for now, just for video's sake, you fold it in half, wrong sides together, use your finger to hold it, then you would move that piece out of the way, folding it in half, come down it, keeping it in half. You don't want to get it off at all because then it'll change your measurement. I'm going to come up to this green thing, the green block. So I've been doing it a while, so I don't have to have my fingers as close, but it's best, it's kind of best if you just use your fingers close to the iron while you're doing it. And do not pull, stretch, or tug your fabric. You just want to lay it on top of itself. Fold it in half, and once you get to that seam, keeping it in half, like this, and it'll lay nice and flat. Keep holding it in half. Then you come further up, holding that in half, matching those two end seams, and that's how you fold your binding, okay? So for those of you who are new to binding, that's how it's folded. So I will finish that part later, and I'm gonna just put that over there, and the rest of this I'm gonna fold up onto the table while I show you what it looks like. So I'm gonna come up, and you can see it as it comes. So I'm just gonna kind of lay it on top of itself like this. Hold my hand here so you can see me pulling it up. And then it comes to that main top color and then back down again. And it's the same colors over and over again. So I'm folding it on top of itself until I iron it. And again, it's just those colors. And I chose, remember right before it I did that. You don't have to do that though when you're piecing a binding, but you can do anything. Anything goes. The sky is the limit with pieced scrappy binding. Like it literally is. I would not suggest using 1.5 inch like a strip that's 1.5 inch by 2.5 inches. I would not suggest that, honestly. Those are too tight of a seam to have right next to each other in a binding. But 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches is good. It's okay. So let's pull this up so you can see. We're coming to another where it comes into black only. And then it comes to that end. And then the color change again. And in between is black. So everywhere that it comes, when this is laying on the quilt finally, and everywhere that this green comes in, what's going to happen is with this laying next to the front of the quilt on that final border, which is this color, it's going to fade away, you know, and then it'll look like there's a gap, like the binding just comes out of nowhere again. So I kind of like that illusion set of it, just like when you look at the quilt top at an angle, like if I'm looking at it like this, it literally stacks. And if you look at it from straight above, you can see the tapering of the colors. It's different angles. It looks really awesome. So having the binding like this, I think I'm really happy now that I added that last green piece that I didn't think I was going to use into this, you know. So here it is, nice and scrappy. And now we're coming to all the rest of the black, and that's it. And I might have to add some more strips, but I'll count how many inches. I'll leave the end open and count how many inches I have later, but for now that's how you do it. So Michelle, if you want, we can talk after this. Let me know while I do my goodbyes. So Um, I thank you for watching how to make a scrappy binding, kind of my version to make it look like an illusion since it matches my quilt top. But I'm hoping that you guys got the general idea of scrappy binding. And I thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and share my videos. And I will keep everybody updated with the next project, which will probably happen tomorrow evening and most likely while everyone's asleep. But I'll try to push it in the middle of the day. So thank you for watching. Good night.